What you're about to experience are my opinions and truths. I'm suggesting these possibilities for you to consider, enabling you to come up with your own conclusions. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow decoders around the world, here we go. A decode many of you missed the live I just did a few days ago. We had some technical difficulties, had to cut it short, didn't show all of the material, and here we are doing it again. And I promised I would put this back out, and here we are. I'm actually glad that it got interrupted because I was able to go deeper, more slides, more material, more critical thinking, more logic, more connecting of the dots. So here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome out. My name is Logan. I'm going to be your tour guide for this presentation on the topic, You are God. You are the divine. Now, I will be very honest. And I will say that I am not the first person to say this. I am amongst so many, countless people. But what I will be showing you here today is material to support You are God. I'm going to support it through the methodologies that I have used for many, many years now. And it's just the simplicity of connecting the dots with the tools that you have. And that's what we're going to do. So I want to start with the image here, and notice that in the center is a male and female, the cosmic aspect of that. And then above you have the bearded God, the typical notion of, or a typical notion of the God. But on the right and the left are the important factors of this image. The big hand controlling these individuals, masculine on the left, feminine on the right, is the hand of God, the divine, the orchestration of the divine controlling mankind, which is why we continually show a scripted, predestined reality. And it's on the square, black and white checkerboard floor, which I will be very crystal clear, has nothing to do with masonry. Zero, zilcho, nothing. All it means is duality. That's it. The dance floor that we walk upon every day. And let's jump into this presentation, ladies and gentlemen. Put on a pair of headphones, block out the outside world. I have probably the most slides I've ever done in a presentation, or close to that. I have over 100 slides that we're going to go through. So this is going to be a lengthy presentation. Put on your thinking caps. Here we go. Here are the 7 topics. 7 topics for this presentation. Number 1, absolute. Number 2, arc. Number 3, pineal or pineal, however you want to pronounce it. Number 4, I am you. Number 5, non-player character. Number 6, You are God, the title of this decode. And the 7th topic, me and you. All right, so those are the topics. Away we go. The first topic, absolute. And I'm going to start here and give a big shout out to the official Morgue channel on YouTube. And you can tell how old this is because this is showing like 332,000 subscribers. I got this June 23rd of last year, and now I think he's doubled that. So I like his material, fan of his research, and I wanted to just give, tabs to him because I was looking at this presentation he put out. I didn't even know this existed. So, I'm thanking this guy for bringing it out on the world stage. And it's from the United States Army. And it's called the Gateway Process. And this document is a declassified document from the CIA, given to the CIA, and it's about the absolute. So as you can see, you can read it here. It says, in order to attain self-consciousness, the consciousness of the absolute must project a hologram of itself and then perceive it. That hologram is a mirror image of the absolute in infinity. Still exists outside time and space, but is one step removed from the absolute and is the actual agent of all creation, all reality. You are God decoded, the divine, right here. So we're going to do some numerology. I'm going to use Chaldean numerology primarily throughout this entire presentation. I do have some Latin in here. I do have some Hebrew in here, but primarily the Chaldean, how special this cipher is. You can see that the word absolute, the word that was chosen for this document, the absolute, is a 31, which connects to you and me, which connects to snakehead, the snakehead, the head of the snake, which we covered in the Snakehead Decoded. The 31 is the 5 of diamonds, which converts into the 5 of pentacles, which is the 69th card in the deck, and that's duality. But we continue to go on with this here, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm not going to read this entire 2 paragraphs here. So what I'll suggest you do is pause the video and read it yourself at your own speed, so you can, because this is how you learn. But I would definitely suggest that you pause this and read this. But I will say that Lieutenant Colonel McDonald explores the concept of the absolute as the ultimate source and essence of all existence. It's a unifying and infinite consciousness. So it says, within this framework, the absolute is understood as God or divine energy expressing itself through individual human beings and the fabric of the universe. Mankind is being used. I didn't even know this existed at the time as I was saying these things, but of course, we're all being used to tell these stories, and people are catching on. Okay, so this is very, very important information here, and what I'm going to talk about first and foremost, to back up that we live in a scripted reality, and mankind is not in control of this reality at all, is the simplicity of the dates used for this document. I have 2 dates circled to the far right. The 9th of June, 1983. This is when the document was originally created, and then the approved for release at the top, September 10th, 2003. So I'm just going to simply look to these dates for clues. And we just start, what are the days of the year for these days? That's all we have to do, is just simply go to look at the calendar and look at what days they are. And 2003 and 1983 were common years. So September 10th is the 253rd day of the year. June 9th is the 160th day of the year. This is a big deal when they created the document. Remember, this is June 9th as in 69. 69 or the 96, depending on, here you would have the 96. But all you have to do is just add those 2 dates up. And instantly and automatically, we uncover a huge clue here, because 413 is a permutation, and that means a number anagram, right? These numbers, you can jumble them, but 314 in the mirror is going to be 413. The mirror of the 314, which is pi, folks. And this we're going to get into is the pineal gland. Pi, 3.14. This is a thing here. Absolutely is a huge thing here. So the question is, ladies and gentlemen, what is the absolute? What could it be? Meaning it's the divine, right? God in consciousness. Well, when we measure that through mathematics and numerology and sine and cosine waves and the periodic table and all these tools to get deeper and have a much more clear and concise abstract image of what this means, we go to these two big boys in the mathematical equation department, pi and phi. And could it be that this is showing how important these two mathematical equations are dealing with the divine? Because these are embedded into the Great Pyramid of Giza. This is the latitude north, and this is the longitude east or west. Longitude being earth, latitude being from the heaven down to earth. Light into matter, matter into light. Spirit becoming matter. And there's the 3 and the 1. Could this be the connection to this 31? Well, again, you have to be the judge of what you're seeing here. When you put on your thinking cap and the aspects of you being the divine, we're all made up of numbers. You can weigh yourself, you can measure yourself, height, weight, size, circumference. It's just all numbers in this reality. And this is going to be 4.75, which is a big deal number. You add them all up, you get 79. That's gold. But ladies and gentlemen, I mean, how about this right here? How about pi and phi adding up to the number 23? And the number 23 is also a connection to the word pineal. Now this is pi, as in pineal. But now we're left with the golden ratio. We have in the Greek, pi is the 17th letter in the ancient Greek, and then we have phi as 21. 17 and 21, folks. This is going to give you 38, and that is tied right to the I am if you've been paying attention. Okay? This, ladies and gentlemen, this is big deal stuff here. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. So I want to just let all of you know, if you have not watched these decodes, I have Pineal Part 2 and Pineal Gland Decoded Part 1. If you have not watched these, I would highly suggest that you do. I will hopefully remember to leave these in the description of the video so you can just easily click on them, because I know some of you struggle with finding some of these videos. I don't know why, but they get hidden. Some of the decodes, even if you put it in the search bar, they get hidden, and I don't know why that is. But these have Prometheus, Epimetheus, Greek mythology in here. Mythologies in it. It has a lot of great stuff in these too. So check those out, okay? Check those out. So I'm going to be presenting to you, ladies and gentlemen, in this presentation, more groundbreaking material as we go along. And I want to go back to this decode right here, which is what I presented as groundbreaking material. And I'm just going to give you a quick review of this because I want to show you how I've gone deeper into looking at more layers using the same methodology. So if you remember in the Tower of Ra, okay, what I did was I was looking for the 88th letter in the Torah. Starting at Genesis 1 verses 1, I'm going to count all these letters. We have to go into Genesis 1 verses 2, into Genesis 1 verses 3 to finally get to that 88th letter, which ends up becoming the He in Hebrew, which is the 5th letter. And it's one of the letters of the Yod He Vah He. And then, of course, that was the 88 protons for Ra, but now I want to find what is the 226th letter in the Torah. So that's what I did here. Now we had to go to Genesis 1 verses 6. We had to go to about almost 2/3 of the way through, and there it was. It's the Yod. So we had clarity here, ladies and gentlemen, that Ra is the Yod. There is no question now, and we did this with the Latin Vulgate, the Greek Codex, the Sinaiticus Bible. We did this with the Latin Vulgate. So we did it with 4 or 5 different Bibles. We did it with the Quran. We showed how Allah was the Yod He. We showed how Ra was the Yod He. We showed that Islam is Hebrew and Judaism is Christianity. They're all the same. They're all worshiping the same God, yet they fight about it. The ridiculous, that's just energy exchange. But the question is, what is Ra or Re? Well, we know through ancient Egypt, it's the sun god. Could Ra be the voice in your head? Could you be Ra, spirit into matter? Well, let's continue to take a deeper look. So this is why I wanted to show you that little review, because I started to go deeper into the Hebrew Bible, and I'm like, well, if the Yod is letter number 226 here, if this was the 226th letter, and this is the 10th letter in the Hebrew alphabet, I'm going to go 10 letters now in the Torah. And you can see that the 10th letter is Aleph, which is the 1. This is where we're going to get El from. Aleph, El, you just have to add the Lamed after it. And the Elohim. But the big takeaway, folks, was the total numerology for these 10 letters in the Gematria. The full, using the triple digits. These are all clues and bridges to tell you that you are the divine and the divine is you. And you can call it whatever you want to call it. So this 1117, we're going to now move it into mathematics. Woo, really bright. Wake you up. Well, it just so happens that this number is the 187th prime number. And these prime numbers are standalone numbers. See, they can only be devised by 1 and by the number itself. So it's like kind of a standalone king or queen kind of number. And it just so happens that it's the 187th prime number. So I'm going to attach things to this 187 because I want to see something deeper. Because all of these things are connected. And so I went back to my beast decoded, the beast decoded. And I showed this in my illumination decoded the very first time, where the 12 zodiac signs, including zodiac sign 13, can be brought out by looking at the alchemical elements that connect with these elements. And when you add them all up, all the protons, this would be called the molar mass in science, you're going to get the number 187. And it's the 616 piece. We normally think of it as the 666 piece, but of course there are 6 on one side, 6 on the other, and 1 in the middle. This is the Last Supper. The 187, it's right here. 6 on the left, 6 on the right, 1 in the middle. The Last Supper is talking about the zodiac wheel above, and this is your eyeball, folks, which I already brought out in the illumination decoded, and several others I've shown this. Okay, I several others, and look at the numbers that are here. This not only the 616, but there's that 160. Do you remember what that 160 was? I go all the way back up here, and the 160 is the day of the year they came out with this document. So June 9th being the yin yang 69 is the 160th day of the year, 161, which is the golden ratio if you include the leap year. For this document telling you that you are the divine and the divine is you, and that number is found right there in the string of the golden ratio where it's tied to the number 880, which is Ra, which ends up becoming the Christ character. So just what is Ra and why is all this reference? 1600 is in here, 1600, the White House, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, Google, the headquarters, 1600 Amphitheater Parkway. What's up with all these organizations tying themselves to the 1600, which is the half-life of Ra? Well, we're going to go further with this, ladies and gentlemen. We're building up the foundation here to get into the real good stuff. So just bear with me here. The 187. The 187 that is found from that 1117, which was found from those 10 digits from the Torah, starting at Bereshit, Genesis, tied to the Yod, the 10, is tied to this element on the periodic table called osmium. It's the Wizard of Osmium. The OS stands for operating system. What is the operating system? Could it be that this is part of the operating system? Abso-freaking-lutely it is. Absolutely it is, folks. And the 76 protons matches this word right here, which is the word for Genesis in Hebrew, which is in the beginning. So in the beginning in the Torah means the Wizard of Osmium, which attaches to the Last Supper, which attaches to the 13 zodiac signs above in the canopy. How about that? There are no coincidences in this. And we're a makeup of all these energies. Because if somebody says, what's your zodiac sign? I'm all of them. You're all of these. All of them. You are all of them is the correct answer. And the wizard runs it, which is your mind, your thoughts, your consciousness. Okay? So, what is the osmium really linked to? Because we're talking about you are God, and God is you. Well, here's the osmium 187. And when we add up the 76 and 187, that's adding up the neutrons, protons, and electrons. Osmium 187 has 111 neutrons. 187 plus 76 is 263. That is a prime number. See, we just simply connect to as many things as we can with the tools that we have. And mathematics and prime numbers are bridges and clues. And we just go right back to numerology. And there it is. There it was for me. Operating system, right there as the abbreviation. The acronym for osmium is operating system, which comes from the original first word in the Torah, which means the seed. The seed that emanates and ends up delivering offspring, which we become actors and actresses on the world stage. Remember that 56 is tied to this right here. Lights, camera, action. 56 is the operating system, where it is spirit that wants to come into matter. We become the matter. You see that? The matter is 20. We become the matter. So the matter is 20, where we are living in duality, where we live out a life and have a birthday, and we are in duality. Okay? That's what matter means. Spirit into matter, 56. Operating system, 56. Okay? The divine using you as an instrument to experience its own reality through. Okay? Through this and this, especially this. That's why if you were willing to look at your astrological chart, what you will see is a high degree of accuracy when you're getting the correct interpretations of describing and narrating your life, and numerology and the Enneagram and the personality types and the tarot and the cards. All of these are part of the divine tools that define who we are as human beings. Divine beings. People say, I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. Okay, great. Well, then it's not your spirit. The voice in your head is not yours. Certainly you're having the thoughts, but they're not coming from you or I. They're coming from the divine or supernatural or whatever you want to call that. So let's move into and slip into the second topic called Ark. And the Ark of the Covenant is your brain. But we typically think of the Ark of the Covenant as something like this, right? Which is layered with gold and something tangible put into the house of Jacob, King Solomon's temple, whatever you want to talk about. But all I'm going to do, ladies and gentlemen, is I'm going to go back to these 10 letters in the Torah to connect to the 10th letter, which is the Yod, which we know is Ra. And we got to figure out what Ra really is. But instead of getting the 1117, I went to the original Hebrew, the double digits, and we get the 100. And the 100 is tied to the words Ark of the Covenant in the original Hebrew language, where it originally came from. And you'll notice that these all add up to, reduced down to the number 1, which is Aleph, which is the 10th letter here. Okay, these all reduce down. The 1117 reduces down to the number 1. This reduces down to the number 1. But the clues are keeping them in their authentic formats and looking to different layers and deeper layers. So because it's the Ark of the Covenant that we typically know through this, what kind of esoteric layers can we take a look at? Well, how about when we bring it into mainstream? You ever see this show? I've brought this out so many times. I've said I've watched it 3 times, this show. It's a long series. And it's about these prisoners that get sent off an ark in space, and they're sent down to Earth after a nuclear blast to ensure that the Earth was inhabitable. The clearing of the board. These are Phoenix events. Like if you're a fan of Jason Bashir's and his work, the big Phoenix events are the clearing of the board. That's what I would think they would be. And then you have to have time for that, all that radiation to dissipate, and the Earth has to be made pure again. This is kind of what this story's all about. And the craziness, the crazy connections that Ark of the Covenant from the original Hebrew, in the original language, in the original numerology, is a 100. And Cass Morgan and her books, they came out on September 3rd. That's an 8 of diamonds card, a 8 of diamonds card. Folks, it's just so crazy. This is made to look like a number 8. The prison. They're prisoners. Okay? They're prisoners. So, now I'm going to go 100 letters into the Torah. Since we got the 100, so I'm like, okay, let's go deeper. Where's the hidden code here? Because there's hidden code. It's not hidden anymore. We're looking at this. So now we go 100 letters, and look how many words we get from the 100 letters. 26. And what is 26? The Yod He Vav He. That's what the 26 is. And we get 1,048 for the total numerology for this. And that 0 means infinite potential, which means that the 148 is subtly hidden in there. And the 148, folks, is tied to these two elements on the periodic table, which I brought out many years ago. I think it was in my Dios Decoded. I was decoding the Spanish word for God, Dios Decoded. And a lot of people have shown this now with the addition of these isotopes. It's iodine and americium. And the protons for these two elements, 53 and 95, is 148. It's right there. So the 100 from the Ark of the Covenant, which is tied to the zodiac wheel, which is the ring of animals, is tied to the I Am, which is tied to the Yod, which is tied to Ra. It's also tied to Sirius is in here as well. Absolutely it is. It certainly is here, ladies and gentlemen. So the question is, because some people think that we're in a school, we're in a prison, we're trapped, soul trapped. But how would you be God if you're trapped here? Maybe God just doesn't want to leave. It's kind of like getting addicted to a show or a game. You just don't want to stop watching. Come on, it's called binge watching. Let's just play again, play again, play again. You don't want to stop. Come on, it's time to go. Oh, just one more game. Could that be how this reality works, ladies and gentlemen? Well, let's talk about this I Am a little bit deeper. And the 148, and we're now going to get into the third topic. Now, this is a big one. A big one. It's the pineal. That's how I pronounce it now. For those of you that are the pineal police, if you're going to say, oh, it's pineal, or that's how you pronounce it. Pineal is how I pronounce it. It can be pronounced many different ways. All right, so let's get into this. And I want to talk about just the fabric of this foundation and how big this gland is in the ancient text. You know, in the Vatican, we know there's a big pine cone in, I think it's in St. Peter's Basilica or somewhere on the grounds that is well known. This little teeny gland. Now, you know, ladies and gentlemen, when you look at, now I know this is an artist's rendition, but you see how it has this, it's like a little P shape, but this is the smallest letter in the Hebrew language. And it's the number 9, and it's an apostrophe. An apostrophe means possession. Now, I know this is an artist's rendition, but this really kind of resembles that Yod. And I want to talk about how important this whole topic is, this whole topic of the pineal. Read with me. It says, the pineal gland produces and regulates hormones, most notably melatonin, which influences sleep-wake cycles, which are the circadian rhythms. It receives information about light and darkness from the retina and adjusts melatonin production accordingly. Increased melatonin levels promote sleep, while decreased levels help maintain the awake state. So I have them highlighted in this violet color here, sleep and awake. And I'm just going to do the numerology of these. And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, we have an exact freaking match to pineal gland. Which is why I go back and I say, with absolute confidence, that Chaldean numerology is the cipher to use, especially if you're a beginner decoder. If you're a code breaker, Chaldean numerology is the one to go with. Forget all the other ones, Chaldean numerology, till you get familiarized, and then you can start branching off. But look at the connections here, folks. They're both 39. And this is going to reduce down to the number 3. Any number that 9 is next to, it will repeat it. So you don't even have to add it up. You will know that this will be a root number of 3. 3 plus 9 is 12. 1 plus 2 is 3. And 3 is what? Is the number of pi, 3.14. Could this be pi and the pineal gland? I mean, that's what the numbers are saying, but let's keep talking about this right here. So we're going to go back and we're going to look at some Hebrew text, and I'm going to go to this scripture in the Old Testament, Genesis 32 verses 30, where it talks about Jacob calling the name of God, or the face of God, the place of it, Pineal. Pineal. And you see that this right here, the first 5 letters of the Torah, they not only do they add up to the number 54 to match the numerology of where it originated from in Genesis 32 verses 30, but the 5th letter to end this thing off is the freaking Yod. So I go back here and again and I postulate, is this that apostrophe? Does this mean possession? Are you in control of your life when you're awake? A lot of you think you do. And the question is, do you think you're in control when you're asleep? Well, the answer would be, of course not. You're asleep, you're out of it. But you think you're in control when you're awake. So only when I'm asleep, I'm not in control. But when I'm awake, I have full control over my life. See, I think that is a big illusion. I think that is a superstition. I think that you're under the guise of the domain of whatever's controlling this reality at all times, and you are the divine. The divine's using you as the instrument. And it's using you to do its bidding. So we're going to move into this. And this 54, ladies and gentlemen, if you've ever seen the movie They Live, it was News Station 54 broadcasting the hypnotic trance. Okay, so don't forget that. Please don't forget that. But here is the scripture, the full one, and the numerology of it. And now I'm going to not only talk about theology, but mythology. So here's the full scripture, Genesis 32 verses 30. And here's the face of God, the Pineal, which is the pineal. And if you've been following along the alchemology, which is numerology and chemistry together, the Yahweh character is that number 54. Huge humdinger here, but then we bring in something completely separate. And we bring in the great Greeks and their mythologies and the stories from Homer's Iliad, etc., and Ptolemy's constellations. Why are there 88 constellations? Why are there not 90 or 92? And why isn't there 85? 88's tied to Ra. Could Zeus be the Yod? And could the Yod and Zeus be this all-seeing eye right here? See, because the Greeks say that Zeus is the king of the world. But you go into a Christian culture and they'll tell you, oh, that's pagan. No, we have it right. Or we go with the Jewish faith, oh no, you're wrong. You have to celebrate, you have to do it this way, and you got to do this and that. But why are these people wrong? Why are the Greeks wrong? And the Hebrews are right. The Jewish faith is right. See, I think it's a Ponzi scheme, folks. The whole thing is owned by one boss, going by many different constructs, through many different cultures. And the 54, of course, is going to reduce down to what number? The number 9. And remember, that number 9 this looks like a number 9 right there. Okay? The 9 is the great repeater number. The great repeater number. How about this right here? Which I've talked about many times in many different decodes. Roger Waters, Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, March 1st, 1973. Song number 9, I do believe. Roger Waters has in his lyrics, and he sings in the song Brain Damage, "There's someone in my head, but it's not me." Yeah, that's true for everybody. There is someone in your head. What is it? Who is it? It's not you. Certainly you're having the thoughts, of course, but it's not you that is making the thoughts up. They're coming to you. And it has a total numerology of the 131, and that is very interesting because the 54th element, called xenon, has an isotope called 131. This is the average isotope. This is going to round up to 131. So we have the 130. The 130 encroaches into the 131. And xenon, ladies and gentlemen, means stranger. So if we go to the periodic table and we take a look at xenon right here, you can see what it says. It comes from the Greek word xenos, which means stranger. There's someone in my head, but it's not me. The stranger in your head. Who could that be? And this, just for fun, have you ever heard of this before? Possession is 9/10 of the law. 9/10. There's the 9, the 130. Are these just all mere coincidences? Brain damage, folks. From the pineal gland. That's the face of God. Tied to the Yod. Tied to Zeus. The largest planet in the canopy. The king of the gods in the Greek culture. Zeus. And I can tell you right now, folks, the Vatican is huge into Zeus. They actually call it Jupiter, which starts with the letter I in the Latin language, which is the 9th letter in their alphabet, which is the same letter that Jesus starts with. It starts with the letter I. And I'm going to be coming out with a decode on just the classical Latin and the Latin Vulgate, and it will blow your mind. I promise more groundbreaking material to come. So now we're just going to connect a little bit more to get deeper on this, to show you that you're the divine and the divine is using you, the voice in your head. And you can see, again, just to remind you, the pineal gland's main job is to control the cycle of sleep and wakefulness. Okay? It secretes melatonin. So when you wake up and the light hits your eyes, melatonin stops being secreted. When you close your eyes and light is off, melatonin increases. This is why some of you take melatonin to improve your sleep, because it increases the melatonin, which puts you in a deeper sleep. Simple science. But you see, once we connect the tarot to this, oh boy, does it provide such a big clue. The 54th card in the tarot is the 4 of Swords, and this card has many meanings. One of them is asleep. Asleep. What does this control? The sleep cycles. So the 54 is tied to that Yod, which is tied to Zeus, which is tied to the stranger and the voice in your head and the sleeper. The 54th card, folks. This is going to tie to the 4 of Spades, which is going to be tied to Hades, which is going to be tied to Sleepwalker. This right here is tied to the 4 of Spades, which is card number 43. So all I have to do is come back over to numerology and type in Sleepwalker. 43 is the 4 of Spades, which paved the way for the 4 of Swords. So ladies and gentlemen, you know, like I know, oh, I'm awake, but you're sleepwalking. No, but I'm really awake. No, you're sleepwalking. I know a lot of you, oh, I'm completely awake. Those people are asleep. No, you're still asleep. Meaning you're not in control of your life. You're a non-player character. I have that topic coming up in just a little bit to support what I'm telling you here. Right? So you can see here, ladies and gentlemen, that the classical Latin now, this is what the Latin Vulgate, the official Bible for the Vatican, the official Bible of the largest religion in the world, uses only 23 letters in their alphabet. Pineal equals 23. And it has the same numerology as the Hebrew word for the face of God. this little teeny tiny gland in the back, which regulates the hormones and the melatonin output for the asleep and wakeful states that we are in, folks. Are you seeing this? These are absolutely massive, and everybody has a pineal gland, which is why it is revered in so many cultures, because it regulates when you're awake and it regulates when you go to sleep. And when you go to sleep, you have dreams. Those are the same things as having out-of-body experiences or near-death experiences. You are not in control. You're asleep. But when you wake up, the question is, are you in control? So look at this definition for the origination of the word pineal gland. It comes from the Latin language. Now you go back to Roma. All roads lead to Roma. And it's called the glandula pinealis or pinealis. And it was supposed, now again, I'm just regurgitating this. It's all I can do, but the anatomists back then during the Renaissance period, they studied the human brain. I tried to go back to the Greek, and the Greeks didn't really have the format. It was during the Latin period, the Renaissance period, and they attributed it to the pine cone-like shape. Okay? The pine cone-like shape, which named this gland. And we then paved the way for this shape, or where it originated from, ancient Egypt. That's why in the Vatican, in St. Peter's Basilica, what do they have? They have an obelisk that sits right in the middle of St. Peter, that keyhole. That is from Egypt. Okay? It's from Egypt, which is where Ra is from, which is what is tied to the yod, etc., etc. So we're going to use the Latin now. I'm going to go to what the Latin Vulgate Bible was written, the official Bible of the Vatican. That has over 1 billion, the largest religion in the entire world was written. The Bible was written in classic Latin. And you can see that the original words used for pineal gland has a total numerology in their cipher of 129. So I was, okay, well, let's go to Genesis 1 verses 1 and 1 verses 2. Go 129 digits to see what letter is going to be tied to the pineal gland. And there it freaking was, folks. It is the letter I. The all-seeing eye, ladies and gentlemen. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? And it wasn't just 129 letters. It was 26 words. You remember what the 26 was tied to? It was tied to the yod. So you have a Jewish God, deity named, now put into the Latin Vulgate, coming out and connecting not just to the Judaism and Christianity, but also the numerology of more Greek mythology. It is the original spelling of Prometheus. Prometheus was the titan that stole fire, wisdom, and gave it to the humans. And Prometheus is tied to Lucifer, the light bringer. Well, what does light do when it enters your eyes? It stops the production of melatonin. The pineal gland stops secreting melatonin because the light is saying it's time to wake up. And when you have the light, you see the knowledge. How do you read a book, folks? You can't read a book in the dark. You need light for that. So the knowledge from Prometheus is tied to the light bringer. And it's tied to the eye. Your eyes, my eyes. The black suns, which are called the pupils. Pupil is 26 in Chaldean. I could go on and on and on with this, but what about the total numerology for these 129 letters tied to the pineal gland from the Latin Vulgate Bible, starting in Genesis 1 verses 1? It's the 1, 2, 3, 4. So is this anything in mathematics? Absolutely it is. This number right here, 10,061 is the 1,234th prime number. And what do you see here, ladies and gentlemen? Well, clearly when you're a code breaker, you know that this is tied to the golden ratio, the spiral. And the number 9 is in there, the number 6 is in there. That is the yin and the yang, which is the black and white checkerboard floor. See, light spirals into the pupil, this black sun, which is your little devil, and it gets caught by the retina, which is the net on the back of the eye, and it goes down the nerve, the optical nerve, and it gets transmuted into the brain, which processes the images, et cetera, et cetera. But the melatonin and the pineal gland is going to dictate whether or not you have that event happen, because it shuts the production of melatonin off. So you can see it's all connected here. And according to the Hebrew Bible and Jacob, the face of God is the pineal gland, ladies and gentlemen, which functions the sleep and wake cycles, which has to do with light, the golden ratio, the spiral. Right from that numerology of the 129 letters, which the 129th letter is the letter I. The I. The I. Going into the eye, the light going into the eye, folks. Light is needed to see things. If you want to read a book, you can't read a book in the dark. Pitch black, forget it. You won't be able to read it. You need light to read and consume knowledge. Your computer screen or your cell phone produces light on that screen so you can watch this presentation. Otherwise, you would just hear my voice. Okay? That's how we learn. Right? So, this number 9 is really big. In the classical Latin, it's the I am. I am that I am, the yod, I. Okay? This is going to be tied to Ra. This is tied to nature and cyclones and hurricanes, the 9. In nature now, it's tied to these kinds of things. Okay? So, we're going to now take the number 9. I'm going to do, as I've often done so many times, I'm going to do the numerology of the number 9. I'm going to spell it out. And in the Latin, we get the number 40. Now, there are only 23 letters here. So we can use the same rules that we do with the cards, where we subtract the total amount of digits here. There are only 23. We have 40 for a total here. We just simply subtract the total letters in the classical Latin alphabet, 23, and we get the number 17. So we just then go and look to what's the 17th letter in the Latin alphabet? The letter R. As in Ra, as in repeat, as in redo, as in reincarnate, etc., etc., etc. And the 17 in the tarot, folks, is the star card. This is you and I. This is you and me and the divine wanting to be the star of the show in this reality, so it incarnates into you as the vessel and uses you, and the voice in your head is what controls you. That is how it works for everybody here, without exception, because everybody here follows the voice in their head. You have thoughts. Right now you may be arguing against or like, oh, Logan's full of shit. That's your voice in your head. And it causes resistance, which causes energy exchange. I'm not going to go into all that kind of stuff, but let's talk about this letter R in the Latin alphabet. And you can see that when you flip it, it has some similarities to the yod. Absolutely has some similarities to the yod. Okay, just wanted to show that there. I know that, it's not like exact, but it does have some similarities to the yod. The yod-he vah-he, ladies and gentlemen, in Chaldean numerology, if I go there and I type this in, you're going to get 17. Even if I do it with the VH, 17, you see. It's right there, the star. The divine is you. You are the divine is you. It's using you as the star of the show in this reality. And you can start to see how these principles, how these connections and these patterns emerge to tell us how this story works. Now, in the Egyptian culture, you not only have Ra and Set and Osiris, but you have Horus, the son of Osiris. And this all-seeing eye is the eye of Horus. This was used for protection, majorly. And we could just simply connect using the same numerology now to Yahweh, which many people swear up and down and sideways, this is the creator God. But then how you explain this? Well, you'd probably just dismiss it because, oh, I don't use numerology. It doesn't mean it's not true. And you could see that it connects right to the pineal gland. So you would, if I just eliminated the horse, if you're somebody who thinks that Yahweh's the creator God and it's everything, and you would say, and I would remove the horse and I would say, look at Yahweh's the pineal, and you'd be like, yeah, see, it's the pineal gland. But how about this? Were you just going to leave this out because you're not into Egyptian mythologies? This was a revered god in their culture, folks. And I have this card right here because the Ten of Clubs, if you watched my Tower of Ra and my Watchtower, Jehovah's Witnesses Decoded, I showed you, these are the castles, the rooks, the ones that are on all four corners of the chessboard that can move a total of 16 spaces, which is tied to Ra and the Tower card. And this Ten of Clubs is tied to the Ten of Wands. And the Ten of Wands subtly has the DNA spiral right on it. It's actually right here. The DNA spiral is right there on the card. You can't miss it. Okay? You can't miss it. I'll come back to that. It's our DNA. I mean, this right here, one of these is the eyeball. This is the fish. Cast your nets over to the right side of the boat, catch some fish. It's this. The boat is in the shape of the eye. It's in everybody's brain, ladies and gentlemen. There is not one person here that has a brain that doesn't look like this. Everybody does. We all have a pineal gland. We all have a thalamus. We all have a cerebellum. Okay? You have a right and left hemisphere of your brain, which is duality. That's the so below Ark of the Covenant. But look at this. When we say 23, tied to pineal gland, tied to Yahweh, tied to Horus, you get 46, which is tied to the eye of what? Eye of providence, which is this. So now we just simply attach just by spelling out 23. In numerology, this is the luckiest number. This is considered, there is no such thing as that, but this is considered as the luckiest number. It's called the Royal Star of the Lion. Tied to the pineal gland, folks. And the 23 is so big because it's tied to these two big words. See, everybody has blood pumping through their body. And everybody is a player. You're a non-player, though. We're players. One of the reasons why Michael Jordan wore the number 23. Kobe Bryant, LeBron James. Why do you think they have, not Kobe Bryant, LeBron James. Why do you think they all wore the number 23, folks? The Royal Star of the Lion. Tied to Yahweh, tied to Horus, tied to the pineal gland, which controls the sleep and wake cycles. And that's what it means to be a human being, is to go to sleep. I'm tired. Oh my God, I had amazing dreams last night, or I had a nightmare, and then, oh, I'm awake now. I had a good day, I had a bad day. That's how these cycles are controlled here. And this card means burdens. The word woman, so I don't have it here, the word women equals 23. Women give offspring to blood to produce another player. There are 4 10s on the chessboard. 4 10s, there are 4 blood types. There are 4 9s, 4 8s, 4 7s. Everything's in the 4 suit here. Okay? The DNA, folks. This is the divine using you as duality. And you get the ribonucleic acid in there as well. Let's go into the card system. Now again, if you're new here and if you've never seen this, just do the best you can. Because this system is an oracle in itself. 52 cards matching the 52 weeks. 4 suits, 4 seasons. 13 cards per suit, ace through king. 13 weeks per season. And around we go. So pineal gland is the big highlight here for this topic, right? And we get a 39. Now that straight up is the king of diamonds, the king of desire. But I'm going to go to these two charts just for this part of the presentation. I'm going to use the Master Spirit spread on the right, which is the never-ending. All of these cards are part of our birthdays. This is the starting point. This is the Divine's chart, the Spirit spread. The Divine owns this part. And you have a Spirit card in here. And then it's paired with the Master Ego spread, the Life spread, the Ego spread. Okay? And this is what normally you're going to look to, these two charts. So I'm going to take the two cards that completely match pineal gland. Pineal 23, 10 of clubs. Gland 16, 3 of clubs. Notice they're both clubs. The club suit is the thinking suit. If you have one of these as your birth card, as your primary birth card, you navigate through life by the way you think. You're a big thinker. That's your primary drive in life is I think. What is the pineal gland regulating when you're awake? What do you do when you're awake? You think. So there they are right there, both of them. They sit in the Mars, Jupiter, Venus line. And I'm going to take them and move them into the tarot to get the picture. This means the pineal gland now. Pineal, 10 of wands. It means responsibility. You now have a responsibility, hefty responsibilities, obligations. It's carrying a heavy load. This is your DNA, right here. DNA, your burdens, your DNA is your responsibility. You're now carrying around a bag of bones. And you're being used by the Divine Spirit inside of you. And it wants to go on an adventure. Pineal gland. The 3 of wands, if you have this as your birth card, I know you're somebody who likes to move around. You like to experience life in all its totality. You get bored quick. You're a shiny new toy. You like to travel. 3 of wands, because this is the card of launching your plans, wanting to go on adventures. So you're going to have a lot of responsibility as you wake and go through your day, and you're going to want to go on a lot of adventures. Even going to work and punching in the clock is tied to the pineal gland and going on this adventure, going on this journey. But when we come over here to the Master Life Spread and we locate those same 2 cards in the spot, Mars, Jupiter, Venus line, we get the King of Diamonds and the 4 of Spades. And this is the card of the pineal gland, the King of the Master of Desire. So the pineal gland is a gland that regulates the awake state and the sleep state. But when you're awake, what do? You want to collect shit. I gotta have the new phone. I need a new pair of shoes. I need a haircut. Oh, I don't look good. I gotta go get some Botox in my face. Oh, I gotta go to the gym because I gotta lose 10 pounds. Oh, I need a new watch. I need a new car. I gotta get 4 new tires. I gotta get a brake job. I gotta go do this job for someone. I gotta go make more money. It's you non-stop desire. That's what your pineal gland is regulating, because it's regulating the awake and sleep state cycles. And it's paired with the sleepwalker. Remember, this is card 54, which is tied to Zeus, which is tied to the Yod, which is tied to Ra. It's tied to the Tower card. And when you take all 4 of these cards now, all of them, to match just the simplicity of numerology into the cards, 39, 43, 23, and 16, all 4 of these, you get 121. Well, what do I do with this 121? I'm going to measure it into chemistry, against chemistry, the periodic table. And what do we have for the 121st element? Antimony. The SB stands for stibnite, but antimony means not alone. It comes from the Greek words anti-monos. If I go there, we take a look at this. Right there, antimony means not alone. Well, if you just put on your thinking cap and use critical thinking, what would it mean, since you are the divine and you're having these thoughts that are coming from somewhere, not from you? That means that the thoughts you're having, you're not alone, folks. You're being guided and you're being moved into positions by whatever's controlling you. And look at what it is, the icon for this element antimony. It is the all-seeing eye of Horus. So we not only get it here from the 4 playing cards, from the charts for this amazing oracle system, from the numerology of pineal gland, but we get it from going all the way back up here, and we get it from the numerology of Horus, which is the all-seeing eye of Horus inside your brain, which is tied to the freaking pineal gland. So there is, without doubt or question, unless you want to completely throw out all the information I'm throwing here to you, the uncanny connections that we are players being used by way of our blood. We are put into burdening situations. We have to go on these adventures, some willingly, some not willingly. Like, who wants to go to work? Do you want to go to work every day? No, but you have to, because you got to pay your bills. Isn't that torture? For you, a lot of you, it is absolutely torture, but you do it because you have to do it, because you have a responsibility. Do you use these layers of critical thinking? What is making you do this? Fear. I got to pay my bills. If I don't pay my bills, what will happen? I will get late notices. I will get kicked out of the place that I live. I can't go live on the streets. I won't be able to afford my car. It's going to get repoed. I got responsibilities. That is fear-based energy, not love, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of you are living through, we all do live, but some of you have a lot of burdens in your life, and you wouldn't sign up for this if you had a choice. But because you're a sleepwalker, you don't have a choice. And all of us desire things in our lives. All of us. Because the natural programming of the human being and being used is, I want the shiny new toy. I'm bored with that. I want the 5,000 pairs of jeans. I don't have that pair. I have 5,000 pairs. I want 5,001. I got 100 pairs of shoes. I need 101 pair of shoes. Never satisfied. And that's tied to your Rahu, the north node of the moon. This is a team effort, folks. This is a team effort. So I can measure this antimony here, which we know means not alone, which is tied to the eye of Horus, the all-seeing eye inside your brain, which is tied to the thalamus, which is tied to the pineal gland. And we can measure it through the original spelling of anti-monos in the Greek. So now we go to the Greek language to measure it for where it originally came from, to get the closest to the origin as we can, and we get the number 125. The 125, ladies and gentlemen, is a number that is too big for the ancient Greek alphabet system. There is not 125 letters here. So we do the same rules as we did with the Latin, with the 40. We subtracted the total 23. This has 27 letters, including the digamma here. 27 letters in the total ancient Greek, not the modern, the ancient Greek. So I'm going to take the 125, I'm going to subtract the 27 total digits. We got to do it 4 times to get to below 27, to get to 27 or below. And look at what we get. The same outcome as we got when we did it with the Latin spelling of the pineal gland. And the number 9, 17, which is pi, folks. The 17th letter in the ancient Greek alphabet is the letter pi. And how coincidental is it that the word pineal gland starts with pi? Are you seeing this, ladies and gentlemen? Remember what that 17 was? The star card. Because each and every one of you are the star of the show. You're in a reality show, and you're being used and watched and observed and harvested for your energy. And that is my final answer. And you just got to make peace with it, and you got to do the best you can. And studying your code and how you're coded is one of the greatest things you could, probably the greatest thing you could ever do. Because at least then you'll know what your claim to fame is on this board called life. Okay, let's keep going here. So we're going to now go back to the pineal gland and the definition of it. But now we're going to look at the highlighted word here in violet called melatonin. Melatonin, again, I love melatonin. If I want to sleep, I sleep amazing already. If I want to really turbocharge my sleep, I just pop 1 milligram of melatonin 30 minutes before bed. Man, I sleep so deep. Your dreams are vivid and just like, wow, what a deep, restful sleep. But I'm not in control of my reality when I'm sleeping, so I enhance the non-control while I'm sleeping. Melatonin. So let me show you some scripted reality with this. Notice that melatonin has the same numerology as simulation. Simulation's root number is the number 8, and 8 is the prison. See, if I go to numerology and I type in the word prison, what is the numerology root of that? The number what? The number 8. Just like the word planet, prison planet. It's an 8. Okay? That's exactly what this stuff looks like. So simulation has a root of the number 8. Melatonin has a root of the number 8. 35 just so happens to be the day of the year I was born on, and I'm showing you this presentation. I was born on February 4th, the 35th day of the year, no matter if it is a common or leap year. I'm showing you duality, folks. This melatonin regulates duality because when you're awake, it shuts off the production. When you're asleep, it increases the production of the pineal gland. Melatonin does that. That's how big this is. Tied to the simulation because you're living out a simulated reality. This is non-control, folks. You're in a simulation. And we just look at the scripted reality here because a lot of you still are unsure. You're unsure whether we live or in a. Am I in control of my life or not? Well, how many times have I done this? I'm going to keep doing it because this is what I'm being shown to show you. This man right here, Aaron Bunsen Lerner, was the man that discovered melatonin. He was born on the 21st of September. He died on the 3rd of February. So I'm just going to go to the cards like I do so many times. Here's his birth card, the 3 of clubs. Remember, this was part of the pineal gland. This is tied to gland because gland is 16. And he passed away on February 3rd, which is the 9 spades card. Now, I'm going from this chart right here, the boilerplate chart for the cards of illumination. Just so you know, there's February 3rd, the 9 of spades. Okay, September 21st, right there, the 3 of clubs, 21st, right there, just so you know. Okay, I'm not trying to get one past you. Well, what do you see on the cards, ladies and gentlemen? A 3 and a 9. Well, isn't that the total numerology of pineal gland? Sure is. See, this man was supposed to discover melatonin. And the clues that are left behind, the trail, the DNA fingerprint, the quantum DNA fingerprint, if you will. Like we're getting into forensics. We're getting into quantum forensics. It's not that he committed a crime. It's he did a deed called the discovery of melatonin. And the fingerprint in the quantum realm, if you will, in the metaphysical realm, is and part of the cards of illumination, tied to the Gregorian calendar, tied to numerology. 21 and 3. What is 21 and 3, folks? 24. How many hours in a day? 24. What happens during a 24-hour period? What do we have? We have awake states and we have sleep states. Scripted reality with this man. He didn't have a choice, folks. Just like I don't, just like you don't. You just got to figure out what you're being coded for and what you're supposed to be doing. And this is where you will find your glory. Okay, there's so many other clues here to this that I could go on and on and on. This is Prometheus and the reduction of the Greek. Prometheus, as you know, is tied to the 129 and the pineal gland in the Latin. These connections are so easy to see once you have all the tools. Scripted reality. And, you know, again, folks, we're talking about the sleep and wake cycles, which are part of the simulation. And this is where you get Horus and Set. Horus, the all-seeing eye of Horus is your brain, and then Set. The sun sets. It's AM and PM. 21 and 3 is 24 hours in a day. Daytime, nighttime. See, these cultures, they make up these stories, these characters to talk about nature. That's all that we're doing. We're making movies out of nature. We're making characters out of nature. That's what we're doing because that's what we like to do. We like to talk in stories and fables and all that kind of stuff. So these are undeniable scripted reality with Mr. Lerner there. And there's so much more that you could go in with him. Let's get into the next topic now. I am you. If you're not already convinced now, well, let's keep going. I am you. And there's the skeleton on the black and white checkerboard floor. Again, just representing duality. It's the dance floor. It's the dirt beneath your feet. It's the land you stand on. It is the land of yin yang. It is duality. We can bring Chinese culture in here. The I Ching, 64 squares on a chessboard, comes from ancient India, which is Chaturanga, the game of Chaturanga. It's got the word Ra in it, Chaturanga. That's where chess came from. This chessboard has 64 squares. I mean, I could go on and on with the connections. They're just so easy to connect now. But this is God telling you, I'm you. I am you. I'm you. And how do we know it's that we're the divine? And how do we know that the divine is us? Because we're made up of calcium. What is our bones and teeth made up of? Calcium. 20. And 20, remember, is tied to the word duality. Where in duality you have what's called a birthday. And you're now a pawn on the chessboard. And you can even be one of these. Same thing. It's a player. And you are living a life of matter. See, all 20. And you see, the graduation, the judgment card in the tarot means graduation. The graduation is realizing that this is what the truth is. I am you. I'm you using you to experience my own reality through because I created it and I get to do what I want. And you get to have fun along the way. Not all the time, but calcium right there. And this is going to lead to zirconium, which means gold colored, and we get the harvesting of energy, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going to take this 20 of I am you, and I'm going to bring it into the string of pi. I'm using the 3.144 pi off of Jane 108's Academy's great research. I feel like the 3.144 is the true pi, but you can use the 3.141 pi. You'll get a different set of numbers, but you'll find the same positions. You'll find the same outcomes. And we got to go 307 digits to get to that number 20. There it is. 306, 307. Look at the total. What is 134, folks? What numbers are used for the 134? How about 314? What is pi, folks? The pineal gland, the all-seeing eye of Horus inside your brain. Duality, matter, God, I am you. And I'm going to use your eye to navigate through my reality that I created. That's what this is talking about. This is tied to barium 56. Barium has 56, 134, that's lights, camera, action, spirit into matter. This is barium. The 134, if I just go there just to show you the barium, right? Just so you can see how amazing this stuff is. You just got to get these things memorized. You come down to the oxidation states and isotopes, and there's the 134 right there. Barium 134, right? Barium is what? 56. Remember what 56 is? Spirit into matter. Lights, camera, action. Thank you, Roland. Great decoder Roland showed me that. That's what it looks like, folks. Just from this. But it is a permutation of pi. And pi is the pineal gland, which is the all-seeing eye of Horus, which is Yahweh, which is the Yod, which is Ra, which is Zeus. All the big daddies. Which is Allah, which is Lucifer, which is Jesus. They're all in here. They're all in here, the colorful characters. So we're going to add up now, like I often do. We have the 1,340 here for the total, but what digits are these? Digit 306 and 307. And we just simply add that up. And we get 613. You know how big these numbers are, right? These are a permutation of 316, Revelation 3:16. But I want to show you why, again, I'm the one that's supposed to be showing you this stuff. I'm a code breaker. This is my job. It's not me doing it. I take no credit for this. I'm just the messenger here. I'm channeling this information for you. And I'm going to show you how I'm connected to it. 613 is a prime number. It's the 112 prime number, which is exactly the latitude, longitude of where I was born. I was born in Putnam, Connecticut, the East Coast, outside of Providence, outside of Boston, outside of Hartford. And my latitude, longitude is 41 degrees north and 71 degrees west. 41 and 71 is 112. My last name is Payette. My last name is Payette, folks. I didn't choose this. My father's last name, he didn't choose it to give it to me because he knew I was going to do this. He doesn't even know that I do this stuff. Undeniability here, folks. Again, I don't like to, it's not about me, but I want to show you how scripted my reality is, ladies and gentlemen. And this is off my Prison Planet 2 Decoded, where I was a little bit vulnerable and I showed some of my family stuff. And I broke down and I talked about this scripture in Revelation 3 verses 16. And this is Jesus talking, right? Jesus saying, hey, if you're not going to play the game, meaning, like he says, because you're lukewarm, which means you're not polarized, you're not cold or hot, I'm going to spit you out of my game, my mouth. So it's Jesus talking, Jesus saying, it's my game, and if you don't want to play with me or against me, I have no use for you. Because you see, in the game of life, man, you need a villain and a superhero. You need an antagonist and a protagonist. You need a God and a devil. You need an ego and a spirit. If you don't have one of those, there's no use for you in this reality. And I have postulated this a million times over now. This is the way to get out of the game if you don't want to play anymore. You can see that this is off of the King James, the most popular Bible in the world. The total is pi. The total is pi, and my last name is Payette. The total numerology is 58, and that is my birth card and the tarot card. These are huge humdingers for me and my reality and being the presenter and the catalyst and channeling this information to all of you. Okay? That's what my job is to tell you. I'm supposed to be telling you this stuff. That you're the divine, I'm the divine is you, it's using me. So 307 words, 63rd prime number, okay? 307 total digits for that number 20, which talks about God saying, I am you. Okay, well, now that we have that established, okay, God, you're me. Where do we go from there? Well, 307 is the 63rd prime number. Okay, so God's saying, hey, I'm you. I am you. I am that I am, but I am you. And you are me. So the measurement here is 307 digits total. And that's the 63rd prime number. So where do we go from here? We go back to numerology and we go back to the New Testament now. So now if somebody say, well, it's not Yahweh in the New Testament. Okay, well, great. We'll just call it God then. 1 Corinthians 6 verses 19, 63 numerology. Look what it says. Know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit, which is in you, which ye have of God, and ye are not your own? It's telling you you're not in control. 63, non-player character. Flower of life. A lot of people, the Kabbalah system. 63, flower of life, which is the net. The flower of life is tied to your retina in the back of your eye, which is called a net. If you go study the etymology of it, the retina that catches the light, which is the complete game of life, is the flower of life. And the flower of life is also, I feel like, the net over the earth, tied to the all-seeing eye of Shalom Ra. Okay? I mean, where do we draw the line with this? Now, again, you don't have to even accept this information, but the connections are so uncanny and so in your face. And it's not just this one. It's Genesis 6 verses 3. There's Proverbs, there's one in Proverbs where it says, your God is walking in your footsteps. So we're going to get into this non-player character, because I know some of you don't think you're a non-player character. You think you're a player character. See, there's no way you can prove that at all. You can't even support it. So let's measure this. Let's measure the non-player character. And I'm going to use the 307. So I took the pi and I went 307 digits. And then I took the golden ratio and I went 307 digits. Okay, that's what I did. And I got the 9 and the 0 there. The 90, which is tied to thorium. That's going to give us the 9 if you add it up. Okay. And the 307 being the 63rd prime number being tied to non-player character, ladies and gentlemen, comes out to this right here. We have the 63 digits. 63 digits. Golden ratio, pi. And we have 274 for the total here. And we have 303 for the total here. Remember, 63 digits of phi, 63 digits of pi, 63 for non-player character. 63 for this. You're not your own. You're not your own. We get 274 and 303. We add that up. We get 577. So remember, 63 digits of pi, 63 digits of phi. We get a total of 274 and a total of 303. Fact check these all you want. You're going to get 577 for the total. And 577 is a prime number. It's the 106th prime number. And where do we go with the 106? Right back to numerology. And what is the 106, folks? It is the 2 base pairs of our DNA. You see. The 2 base pairs. Adenine, thymine, cytosine, guanine, the 2 base pairs that make up the DNA, the deoxyribonucleic acid, which equals 69 in numerology, is 106. From the 577, from the total addition of pi and phi, and 63 total digits from non-player character. Do you see how tight this code is? This is the code that writes the final product. The 106. This is going to reduce down, have a root of 7. 7 chakras, 7 colors of the rainbow. The menorah in Judaism, 7 candles. Okay. So, where can we go with this? What can I do to branch off with this to support what I'm showing you here? What's the 106th day of the year on the calendar? Well, I'm going to look at the common and leap year. So April 15th is the 106th day in leap years, and April 16th is the 106th day in common years. And then I just go and I look, what are the cards? 5 of diamonds for April 16th, 6 of diamonds for April 15th. Card 32, card 31. What's 32 and 31, folks? What do they add up to? Simple math. What's 32 plus 31? 63. So I not only have the 2 base pairs from this methodology, and I not only have the 2 base pairs coming out to being 106, but then I go to the Gregorian calendar and I measure the 106th day of the year, and it comes out to the 2 cards that add up to the number 63. Do you see how mathematically precise all this methodology is? And it's not just that, folks. It's the 56, which is lights, camera, action. The 65 is tied to sun of the morning, which is light. Light has to enter the eye to play the game, folks. If you're not awake, you're sleeping, and then you're dreaming. We're non-player characters, folks. Like it or not. You got to figure out what you're being used for. Because you're the greatest revelation here is you are the divine, man. It's using you. It chose you to experience this reality through. That's pretty exciting news. If you stop with the external and you turn off the mainstream and you stop paying attention to this and stop debating people and stop arguing and stop trying to defend and do all that, and you start paying attention to what you want to create, you cut off all these cancers in your life. That's what they are. They're distractions. They're distractions. So the next topic now is you are God. For the topic of this decode. You are God. And that's a 36. 36 has what is its root number? 9, right? The number 36 is going to give you the number 9. And we know how big the 9 is in Latin. It was the 40, which ties to the star. 9 in the Latin is the letter I, which is the I am. But you see, it says you are. You can see that it says you 14, God 14. I mean, in numerology, folks, that's a direct match. 14 and 14. God, I am you, you are me. You are God. But it says you are God. And those numbers right there with the arrows next to them now, the 1, the 4, and the 8. Woo, these are some big numbers. Where can I go with these? I'm going to go to chemistry. And like I showed earlier in the presentation, when I showed the Ark of the Covenant and the 1048 and the 148, and I showed that the iodine and the americium, which are the two elements to spell out I am. You say this a lot. I am going to go do this. I am going to go do that. The protons for I am is 53 and 95. That is 148. See, you are the I am. That's what it's saying here. You are the I am. I am going to go do this. I am going to go do a presentation. I am going to go cook some food for these people. I am going to go help some people at the soup kitchen. I am going to go do this. I am going to go do that. I am is the you are. You are the I am, which is God. You and God. God and you. That's why we say the I am so much. So we're getting to the tail end of this here. And, let's measure this number 9. How big the number 9 is. Remember, in the Latin, it's the letter I. In the English A through Z, it's the letter I, the 9th letter, which means repeat, 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 repeat. Never ends. So I'm going to go back to pi and phi again. Remember, the absolute was 31 and pi and phi is 3 and 1. Remember the absolute at the very beginning, which is what started this whole presentation off? I'm going to go 9 digits now. 9 digits into both mathematical equations. And what do we get? We get the 8 and the 1. Those are the 9th digits in the pi and phi. From you are God, right? You are God becomes number 9, and we want to measure it into the mathematical equations of pi and phi, which are connected to the absolute. And since it's the number 9, well, that's what we're going to measure now. We're going to take the 1 and the 8, and now we're going to go into chemistry with it again to get an extension beyond what the 8 means. And what the 8 is power, the 1 is leadership. Power and leadership in numerology. That's what 8 and 1 means. 8 is power, and 1 is leadership. Power through leadership, leadership through power. And it comes to these elements right here, hydrogen and oxygen. This is right here, folks. This is the making of man, Adam, that God breathed into the nostrils of Adam, right? The Spirit of God. Hydrogen's tied to the sun, and it comes from hydrogenes, which means water forming. That's why the sun has a lot to do with the water cycle, because it evaporates. Gives it over to the moon condenses it, and we have precipitation, the water cycle. Hydrogenes. But you see, then it has the number 8 with it, and oxygen oxidizes, so it becomes an acid producer. Oxygen is essential for us to breathe and to be human beings. So you have the sun and man. I am. And it's the H-O. Ho, ho, ho. It's ho. Then we move into holmium. There's so many connections with this, folks. But we continue on and we see that this 1 and 8 form where the story of man in Judaism comes from. It is the Adam. Let us make man in our image, the Adam. 1 and 8. The first man through that story. And what is 1 plus 8, folks? 9. And what does the word Adam mean in science? Atom. Atom. Adam, atom, atoms. You are God, folks. The first man. Think about what I'm showing you here. It starts with the letter A as in Aleph. right there. Remember, this is the 10th letter in the Torah. In the first, Genesis 1 verses 1, the 10th letter is Aleph, which is tied to the Yod, which is tied to Ra, which is tied to Allah, which is tied to Ahura Mazda, which is tied to all of them. Ra and Zeus and all of them. So I think we're getting down to the last bare aspect of this. We have one more topic to go. Then we move into the cards of illumination, the 8 and the 1. And we bring it into the cards and we bring it into the tarot, and look at how beautiful this is. I mean, this should give you kind of a spark, man. It should give you a spark to tell you how beautiful life really is. This is the divine wanting to play the game, man. This is the divine, this is God saying, you know what? I want to go play that game called life. And I'm going to create human beings, and then I'm going to just live through them. And it's eternal. So the first card in the cards of illumination, Ace of Hearts, these are both love cards. The love for the game of life, and it's eternal. The Ace of Hearts is the Ace of Cups. This is eternal, folks. The never-ending cup, always overflowing. It never ends, ever. And the 8 is the Taurus field. The Taurus field is right there. The cups are the Taurus field. The Diabolo is there. The devil is the cup. This is the devil right here. Because it has all of your desires. What do you desire in life? Everybody desires things. That keeps the game going. Okay? So, the last and final, I think this is my last topic, me and you. Me and you. And we're just going to start with numerology. We're going to go back to this pineal gland graphic, and you can see how amazing this is me and you, just without the and. Me, you. God's me, it's me, and it's you. And that is 23, which is tied to pineal gland. The pineal gland regulates the asleep and the awake cycles. Me and you, AM, PM, night and daytime, hot, cold, left, right. It's a simulation. And these have a root of the what? What is 2 plus 3? 5. 5 is 20. I am you. Me and you, I am you. You are me. You are God. I am you. Controlling you through the all-seeing eye of Horus through the ancient Egyptian culture. That's where they have it, coined as, which is going to give you at the Egyptian Book of the Dead. Why do you think the Egyptian the obelisk is in St. Peter's Square in the Vatican? Why do they have an ancient Egyptian artifact sitting in the middle of St. Basilica? All-seeing eye of Horus. Horus is 23. Yahweh is 23. Okay? It doesn't matter what you want to call it, folks. It has all the names, man. It's like all the names. It's a Ponzi scheme. The whole thing. So the interesting part about this, to kind of end this decode, are the constructs of me and you and the numbers that come out with these two words. So this can be reversed, of course, because you could say it's me and it's you. But in this case, me and you, 914. So what I decided to do, channeling this information, I went to the theology again, and I pulled out a slide for my Peace and Evil Decoded. And this is called theonumerology, which is where, and I've done this on the CIA Decoded, I've done this in the Sons of God Decoded, I've done it on the Fallen Decoded, the Matrix, I've done them all. This right here is called theonumerology. And what we do is, this is Isaiah 45 verses 7, where God says, I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. Okay? So there's 45 chapters here, and all I'm going to do is just take all the verses of each of the chapters and add them up. That's all I'm going to do. And we get a total of 914. All 45 chapters and verses, 914. Me and you. What is me and you? You and God. I am you. I create peace and evil. Don't you do both? Oh, except for some of you, I know you don't do any evil at all. You don't do any bad deeds. You're perfect. I forgot. There's going to be people out there, you have some exceptions. Folks, this is the pineal gland. I form the light and create darkness. What do you think the pineal gland does? What do you think this does? It controls when you go to sleep by producing melatonin. It controls when you awake by stopping the production of melatonin, which is the simulation. Just to remind you that melatonin, ladies and gentlemen, is a 35, which is tied to simulation, which is tied to this element right here in the periodic table, gadolinium. What's gadolinium? 35th element. What is it, ladies and gentlemen? You should know this one. God. 64. How many squares on a chessboard? How many possible codons in our DNA? You're on television. They used to put this in TVs. Folks, it's God on television. You and I are on television. And the voice in your head is using you. Not the other way around. So you got to figure out what you're being used for. I mean, this is a no-brainer. 457 is the 88th prime number. That's tied to Ra. Ra is 88. So, we're going to do some more mathematics, and we're going to finish this presentation up. This is how mathematically precise this reality is. I'm going to take pi, right? Because the pineal gland. And I'm like, okay, let's locate the 14 and the number 9. Since it's me and you, I got them color-coded so you can't miss it. So here it is. And I'm like, what do these add up to? Since it sits in between me and you. These digits, 460551102. What do they add up to? 24. How many hours in a day, folks? What controls light and darkness? What does this? How many hours in a day? What light and dark is what? How many hours? Come on, you can say it. 24. So in between me and you is a number of 20 freaking 4 here. And 24 is tied to night and day. Just like this, which is this. So if it's God saying, I make peace and create evil, that means that because you say, oh no, I did that. Not according to this. 24, folks. This is the original Latin spelling for what AM, PM means. Look at what it is, 89. 89 is what prime number? 24. This is off my Hell Decoded exclusively on Patreon. So ladies and gentlemen, you now have the eyes to see this. And I would really love to know what you think about this. I will tell you this though. Please leave cordial messages because I promise you, if you're just going to leave a nasty message, it won't even make it. You don't have to agree. I don't want you to agree. But it's all about loving here, man. You know, live and let live. So there's no need to debate, no need to get angry and bitter. But I would love to hear what you saw, so keep your comments coming. Big shout out to all you Patreon members. I really appreciate you. The donating members supporting this research. Just going to keep pumping this content out, folks. We have a lot of big things coming out. That's all I got for today, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Logan for Decode Your Reality. Until next time, we will see you later.